About 25 years ago, I made a kite called a D26. Now, that meant to me that that was my 26th fighter kite design. It took me almost that many to get them to fly well. But this one had an unusual shape to it. And this year at the Washington State International Kite Festival, a friend of mine actually had the kite. And yeah, it's about 25 years old. And it flew beautifully well, according to him. I wasn't at the festival this year. So I looked at the photograph of the kite and asked him for dimensions, and he sent them to me, and I replicated this D26 kite with a new template based on the original dimensions. I made it slightly shorter. It's about a ½ inch shorter in this version, but otherwise it's about the same. The unusual part, obviously, is the shape of the trailing edge. Now, I want to show you how I made the template so that if you want to make the kite, you can make the pattern on your material, or you can make a template, either way, but it'd be fairly easy to do. What I did was I just drew a line for the spine, and in this case it's 17 inches long. And then I measured down, and originally I wasn't sure where this went, but I decided this is a good place for it, and it was 7½ inches from the nose. Then I make a perpendicular line 19½ inches long. So 19½ inches is the wingtip to wingtip dimension of this kite. Now, the bow in the original kite was made from a 0.05 inch diameter carbon fiber rod. Fairly flexible rod. And yet the kite flew well in almost all winds, according to the owner of the kite. Now, when I made this template, I decided to put battens parallel to the spine. But the original was at an angle about like this. This point here is the lower bridle connection point, and it is 5¼ inches up from the tail. I will make a 3-point bridle with this and have the upper bridle points 1½ inches on either side of the spine. And I'll just melt a hole through the material when I make the kite. But to get this shape here, and this is my best estimate. This is not, I'm not going to tell you this is the exact shape of the original, because I'm making it based on information and photographs. I don't have the original. What I did was I measured down 2¼ inches from the leading edge, and then went from the leading edge, which would have been right here, along this ruler here, went down 2¼ inches, and then went in 1 1/8 inches and made a mark. And then I made another mark 3 inches from the leading edge. and measured 1 1/8 inches there. And from there, I just went straight to the tail. But you can see here that the curve started about 3 inches down from the leading edge and very gently curved into the tip. Now the one thing it didn't do, it didn't go above the tip. It's at the wingtip line. So once I made one, I made a template. I just, put it on here and drew around it, and then made the other one the same, simply by aligning this with the kite and drawing it. Makes it quite simple that way. Now there is also a option that I added that wasn't on the original, and that is a hem. Now on the original I used tape to bond the bow to the sail. But if a person wanted to have a hem here and just either use double-sided tape or glue and fold it over onto the bow, this would be the size to do it. 5 1/2 inches long, and at the highest point about 5 inches, 5/8 of an inch, and it tapers down a little bit. And you just add that to the pattern on both sides and have your hem if you prefer to do it that way. So here is how I drew the pattern. It's 12 3/8 inches from the wingtip to the nose. And it's 19 1/2 or 9 3/4 halfway across. And where those two meet is where the wingtip is located. Now, I don't know yet how it flies, but I decided that I would try making the same shape on the trailing edge on a kite that I already had made called Slow Dog, and I changed the trailing edge on it because I want to find out on a regular kite that I'm used to flying what change that shape might have on the flight behavior of the kite. I haven't flown this yet, but plan to soon. The bow, it'll go in here like this, and I'm just going to use tape, or I might just use a hem. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to do that part. A hem is a little lighter weight than tape generally because it takes so little contact cement glue, and the material of the sail will be very lightweight. The one thing I am going to do though is, generally speaking, kites with straight leading edges are relatively slow because the wind pushes this large leading edge portion up against the bow and creates sort of a wind dam and slows the kite's forward speed. And many people prefer that because they don't want a fast kite. But I would like to have it a little faster than that. So what I'm going to do is put some stiffening material along the entire leading edge. I'll probably use a piece of stiff mylar or something similar and either glue it or double-sided tape it to the leading edge about 1/4 of an inch or so all the way along. In an effort to try to minimize the amount of slowness that the straight leading edge might otherwise provide. Well, I hope this is useful for you.